Okay, we are in part 2 of the research strategies video, and we're going to start out by talking about how to search smart, or searching in databases the smartest way you possibly can. Now, as we go through this section of the video, we're going to talk about avoiding full sentences. We're going to talk about identifying synonyms, the use of and, or, how to use filters, and don't forget to always ask for help. Now, don't forget, this is another thing you can't forget, is don't panic. Our first rule of library research is always don't panic. You can ask for help. So, first up, avoiding full sentences. Why would we want to avoid full sentences as we search in a database like ProQuest Central, which is available through the library? The first reason is the search will include every word in that sentence, and you're going to have to dig through a lot of articles and a lot of uselessness that you don't have to dig through, because all of the sentences or all of the words in the sentence are going to be included in the search. So you don't want that. You can work on shortening your sentence and come out with a better search that will lead to fewer results but better results. Next up is identifying synonyms. Now, why do you want to do this? Because not all authors use the same words for terms. Using synonyms will broaden your search. We're going to talk about this in the next step, but you're going to broaden your search to get more results and better results if you use some synonyms. Now, if you'll notice on the screenshot that we have, you've got the word soothe and you've got the word relieve if you were to type in how to relieve stress or how to lower stress in college students. So you see the word soothe and you see the word relieve, and these are both going to be articles that you probably can use if you are working on a paper about how to better relieve stress with college students. So always identify synonyms that are going to help you in finding more research material in the databases. Now, I mentioned this on the last slide. Here it is. Use and or for different results. Okay, or widens your search pattern, and narrows that search pattern. If you'll notice, we use the terms relieve or soothe stress as a college student, and then we use the terms relieve and soothe stress as a college student. You'll notice the difference between, because relieve and soothe means that the search feature on the database will look for articles that have both of those terms. Both of those terms are used when you are searched when you use and. If you use or, relieve or soothe, it looks for both of those terms separately. Here it's together, here it's separate. So you'll get relieve stress as a college student or soothe stress as a college student. Here it's both of them together, here it's separately and together. So you can widen your searches with or, you can narrow your searches with and. Another tool to help you in focusing your data that you are gathering in a search are the filters. A lot of the available resources that we have here at the library have filters. This is from ProQuest Central. You can look for full text, peer review. You can exclude wire feeds, something that would be news related. You can look for books. You can look only in scholarly journals, dissertations, theses, newspapers, and then also a crafty and handy little, it's actually kind of fun even, tool on the features is a date range. If you need to move your search up, maybe your professor has said you can only use sources from the last 5 years, 10 years, or if you are doing historical research and you need to find a perspective from history, you can drop that range down and move it up to where it will include searches, or excuse me, research only in a certain period of time. And last but not least, always ask the librarians if you need help. You can always ask the librarians through the library consultants page. These are specialized librarians that are experts in the library materials that we have in a particular subject. You can locate that on this web page. So as a review, for smart searching, avoid those full sentences in a search because it's going to include every word in that sentence. It's going to include the and or how much, or any number of the words that you put in the search bar. It will search for all of those words, and it's going to mean that you have to dig through too much, and it's going to waste your time. Look for synonyms. Synonyms are used sometimes for different meanings for words. Researchers may be talking about the same subject in a research paper, but they may use different words. So look for synonyms as you try to broaden your search, find some different articles that may not have come up on your first try. Don't forget to use and or. These are going to be helping you to widen your search results. Maybe you're not finding enough information, so you use one of those synonyms that you've come up with and type in and or to get a broader or more narrow search. Maybe you've got too many things going on and you use and to narrow that search and really pick down into the research available on a subject. And you've got filters. These are going to help you narrow searches. Most of the databases that we have here at the library have those filters on the side. Usually they're on the left-hand side. And you're going to use those to help you narrow down your search. Don't forget the fun little time bar on the side of ProQuest Central. You can move that up to the last 10 years. You can move that down to a particular period of time if you're researching a particular instance. And then don't forget to ask us, the librarians, for help. We are always available one-on-one, or if you stop by the library, shoot us an email. We can help you with your research. Now, the last section of your paper is going to be the work study, or excuse me, not the work study, the work cited, or the bibliography, or the reference section. They're called very different things. Sometimes different people call them different things. And you're going to want to cite your sources. And you want to cite your sources for a myriad of reasons, not the least of which is it shows that you have taken some time to complete the paper that you are working on. If you have done some research, you want to put that research in to show your professor that you have taken the time to work on your paper. So, cite your sources or else. Cite it and avoid plagiarism. That is also the biggest, probably the biggest reason you want to cite your sources, is to avoid plagiarism. Plagiarism is dangerous, not to life and limb, but to your career as a college student. And you want to cite everything in the same style. We're going to talk about how to do that. And you want to double check your citations. There are a myriad of ways that you can do that. So first up, cite and avoid plagiarism. If you look at a resource, jot down a citation. It doesn't hurt anything. If you quote it, you've got to cite it. If you reference it, you've got to cite it. If you put it in your footnotes, you need to cite that. If you put it in endnotes, you need to cite that source. When in doubt, cite it. It is much easier to cite a source than it is to have to go back and defend yourself if you are charged with plagiarism. And plagiarism can result in a failure of your assignment, and you can be expelled from St. Augustine's University for plagiarizing if you do that too often and it becomes too blatant. So please, it is much easier to just go ahead, cite the source, and give credit, and it also makes you look that much smarter that you said, oh, I read that article. And the professor knows that you know what you're talking about in your paper. Cite everything in the same style. Most research databases have a citation button. Again, this is from ProQuest Central. There is a button on the side of most of your articles that you can find. You can drop down. There will be a drop down menu that pops up, and you select the style that either you have chosen or your professor has designated. Make sure that you do that for each of the sources that you have cited. Is drop down and use that same citation style on all of your citations. Double check your citations. You can do this through the Purdue OWL. We have links on the web page, which will be the next slide. But the Purdue OWL has a writing lab that will help you cite sources and make sure that they are as correct as you possibly can get. And how do you find that? You can go to the Prezell R. Robinson Library blog and click on citation styles. There are links to the Purdue OWL, or you could also just Google Purdue OWL and find that site. So as a review, cite your sources or else cite it and avoid plagiarism. It's so much easier just to cite that source than it is to go through the whole rigmarole of being involved in a plagiarism. It's just easier. Cite everything in the same style. You know how to find that citation style, and then double check those citations. It does not hurt to double check a citation even if you pull it from the database. Sometimes those things are wrong. People make mistakes and you can catch those and edit them. As a final review, the research strategy steps. Number one, you're going to select a topic. Use the sources to help you narrow those down. Narrow to your interest. Remember, you want to focus and keep up with what you've seen. Use that in that citation source that we just talked about right here. You're going to avoid the plagiarism. Keep up with what you see and cite it. Next up, you want to select your database and select the place to look that will help you. You don't want to spend a lot of time digging through information that you don't need. Ask yourself what you want to find. Not all databases are created equal. Remember the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's great if you want to try to find pizza, but you don't want to use that in a research database. And then all databases have a use. The hard part is finding that use. You want to also remember to search smart. Avoid those full sentences. It keeps you from having to dig through a lot of stuff. Find some synonyms. Use the and or to broaden or narrow your search. Use the filter to also broaden or narrow your search, and ask for help if you need it. And we just talked about citations. It is so much easier. Just cite sources. It's a lot easier. So that is research strategies. Those are going to help you in formulating research projects and research papers that you are going to have to write. Hope it's helped.